Hey guys, welcome aboard. Howdy, howdy. Mr. Blodgett, welcome. Wow. Happy Sunday. You know, it's April. I should not have to have the heat cranking in the shop, but I have the heat cranking in the shop. How is everybody this morning? Oh, you know what I forgot? My light. My light's over there. So give me a second. I'm going to grab my light. It's the problem with being a photographer. There we go. That's better. All right. 3D Magic World of Printing. Welcome. Well, happy Sunday. Pretty slow start to a Sunday. Actually, that's not true. I got some things done this morning, but I haven't yet warmed up the grinder, and I do have grinding to do, so we're going to get to that a little later today. Let's see if my friend from Denmark is on. Your package was just wrapped up and ready to ship. So we have another package going out to Denmark. And boy howdy, I would like to figure out how to smooth out the shipping process. It is, you know, with all the automation we have, it's very annoying when it comes to international. Domestic, smooth as silk. Hey Bart, welcome aboard. But international shipping has been a real thorn. Either the automation that I have, you know, ends up quoting the customer a ridiculous high number, which has happened occasionally, and I figured it out, or it comes in too low, and then I have to eat it. And I'm eating it on this one because my system quoted a shipping cost, and it was wrong. So I had to make a change. I think I fixed it, but I have to eat some of that, and that's all right. Anyway, so that was this morning. We got that done. Getting ready to do some grinding. Things. I've always said statistics are lumpy, you know, and this is one of those weeks. So now we got new interest in round stones. So we have silicon carbide round stones going out. That's the silicon carbide. I've got aluminum oxide 4-inch rounds going out, or at least going to inventory. So those are the 4-inch. So I think today I'm going to talk about round stones because there's some real cool advantages to round stones. And one of the orders on the table here, I'll show you the pile of stuff. There's the pile of stuff. You know, one of the orders on the table is for me. I need a set of round stones that I could devote to the mill area. So I have the Bridgeport manual mill, and I've got my CNC mill. So I need a set of rounds which are going to live over there, and that's happening. So I believe they're going to be the silicon carbide rounds that have these, you know, Norton puts these finger grooves in, and I heard why, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And I haven't confirmed whether the story I heard is true, but this is, I think my set is going to be a set of silicon carbide rounds living in the mill area for tables and vices. You know, you're always working on a large area. It's always a flat thing. Occasionally, when you get into the vise, you might need a rectangular stone. But just for putting setups together, I like to have a round stone. And we're going to have some of those. And I've sold them for a long time. It's just that they're one of the lowest demand type of precision ground stones that I make. So it's funny how this week is round week and 6-inch week. I got some 6 inches to get out. So it's been a busy week upstairs. My antenna work was very busy and continues to be. And down in the shop, it's basically been support. I did a bunch of 4-inch minis on Friday, which replenished stock because you guys drained me of 4-inch minis. So they're back in stock. And when I talk about replenishing stock, I hate to use a cliche, but we run lean, so we don't have a whole ton of inventory. I generally try to have enough inventory so that I can survive 1 to 2 weeks worth of orders, and that's about it. So those are my numbers. That's what I keep it to. Firmworks, welcome aboard. I don't think I've seen you here before. Welcome. So I don't have any specific hot buttons to talk about today. We may or may not get into anything too deeply, but if you guys have questions, if you're on a phone, down at the bottom there's like a question button. That's the preferred way to submit a question, or just put it in the comments. It's a little harder to pick up your question in the comments, but that is also totally viable. And what are you guys doing? Are you in the shop today? Yeah, welcome aboard, Firmworks. It's funny how my brain works graphically, right? So I'm looking at your logo, and I'm not sure I'd seen it before, but welcome aboard. Hey, let's see how. Also, I have another question for you guys. Is if you are not in the United States, just punch in your 2-letter country identifier in the comments. I'm just curious to see who's here. Of course, when CNC Machines India checks in, you know they're coming from India. So if you are an international viewer and you're just joining us, I was just flaming about international shipping. Firmworks is running some production parts. Excellent. Welcome to the UK. Is that UK? Man, they make these things so small. Yeah, that's UK. So one of the things that happened in the world of shipping is I use ShipStation. India, thank you. You guys are, I asked for 2-letter codes, you're sending me flags. It's awesome. So I use ShipStation, hashtag not sponsored, and I like it. It works great. When you place an order with me, it goes into Squarespace. Of course, the Netherlands. Welcome, Bart. It goes into Squarespace. ShipStation scoops it out of Squarespace and gets it ready for shipping. Well, one day, ShipStation sends me an email that basically says, hey, all of your United States Postal Service shipping to outside of U.S. addresses, international addresses, is going to be handled differently now. Don't worry about it. I'm like, okay, fine. So now what happens for you wonderful people that are around the globe, if your order is going United States Postal Service, when I print out the address label, it goes to an address in New Jersey. And the address in New Jersey is sort of a clearinghouse where they add all of the customs information electronically to the package, and then it goes out. And what it's done is it's reduced my workload so that I don't have to print custom forms, and the customs forms have to be on the outside of the package. It's been pretty nice. So that happens for United States Postal Service. It does not happen for UPS. So for UPS, I still have to print out customs forms. Not a huge deal. It just means I have to hit the button, run upstairs, grab it off the printer, and I'm totally happy doing that. But I just thought I'd say that there are some advances in the shipping automation, which has really helped out a one person shop like mine quite a bit. So, the reason I'm thinking about all this is that a Denmark package just got wrapped up and is heading out the door. And it's going via beautiful New Jersey, which, if you've never been to New Jersey, you too would agree it's absolutely beautiful. So, little New Jersey dig there. So my plan today is, after our live, is to get the machine set up and start working on rounds. Now, behind the scenes, when you guys, and when I say working on, I mean just production. So I was having discussions with, not Bart. Oh my gosh, now I'm having a brain fart. Who's my... Anyway, he's probably going to show up later. But one of our guys is repairs brass instruments, which is really pretty cool, musical instruments. So we're talking about a particular problem he's having, and if he pops in, maybe we'll get him on as a guest, where they have to lap the valve on a brass instrument. In particular, I think we were talking about a saxophone. And it has to be lapped flat so that a valve, the valve that you see getting used to play the instrument, can sit flat and make a good seal. So we were talking about ways to do that. And I have these little stones, these little 2-inch round stones, which are still a little too big to get into that. So, oh, there you are, Mr. Blodgett. Yes. Do you want to come on live? It's a big ask, but if you do. Let's talk about that problem, because I think it's an interesting one. So I'll watch in the comments if you want to come on live and talk about it. But we talked about little round stones. The ones I have are 2-inch, but of course he needs to get in a small, crowded... I don't know who designed instruments, but... Okay, no problem. But he sent me some pictures, and... It looks like 1 1/4 inch diameter is what's going to be necessary for getting into that space to lap flat this rim. So I've been thinking about this problem, and we may do something funky. We may make a little hardened lap, or it's not a file, but it's going to act sort of like a file to get into that area. To lap that thing flat. So it's just another flat problem, and we're going to come up with some sort of prototype. So what I have in the shop is I have some 4140 in 2-inch round. I might take a couple of salami slices of that, heat treat them in my hot shot over here, and grind them flat. Do all the right things. I have some ideas about what the face of this thing would look like. So that's something that we've been talking about this week. We were coming up with an interesting solution. But that's one of those cases. It's like Adam Demuth when he was working on a mold. That's why I came up with the 2-inch roundels. So if you go on the website, you'll see them. They're 2 inches in diameter. They're really cute. Yeah. Mr. Blodgett says he's excited. I am too. I think it's a fun project to try to figure out. I think this project, by the way, might end up starting life on the CNC mill. I have some ideas about what the top of this thing should look like, and then after the mill, it'll come over to the grinder and get ground. Anyway, I got some interesting things, and if it works out, I don't know if more people want it. Series Motorsport asks, any 6-inch stones in stock? I'm down the street in Hudson on Wednesdays and can swing by and pick a set up if possible. I love the fact that you came in with that. because I went off on an international tangent, and here you are down the street. So the answer to your question is the very last 6s I had in stock are now heading for Denmark. However, once again, a little bit of camera work here. So you see that pile right there? Those are 6s about to get made. So what I want you to do is swing it back around here. What I want you to do is go to the website. I think I gave instructions on pickup. And I believe there's a shipping option called pickup. Place your order, figure out what you want. You probably want a set of 6s, a set of 4s, a set of roundels, 2 sets. I'm kidding. Figure out what you want. Place the order and choose shipping pickup. And then in customer notes, give me your cell phone number and we'll text. And I'll get you your stones. How's that? Is that going to work? I think I'm making 6s this week, but it's not going to be today. I don't think I can get to them today. I got a lot of stones to make. But this week, for sure. Got it. Okay. And I just don't remember. I believe there's instructions on the shipping page. So go to pfg.gg. At the top, it says all about shipping. Somewhere in the text, click that. And somewhere in that diatribe, I wrote about picking them up. And the answer is, yeah, we'll set it up. Set up an appointment. Come on over. You're welcome to stop by. And you can tell me about your what kind of stuff you do. Okay, well, that's pretty good. We went from the next town over all around the world here. Thank you, and thank you. Thank you for your interest. Okay, good question. What other questions do we have today? What's our topics? If you don't have a topic, I'm going to talk about round stones. That's all. Okay, let's talk about round stones. If a question pops in, I will pick it up, or a topic pops in, we'll switch. The reason I love round stones, and what makes round stones different from rectangular stones, is every time you pick it up out of the tray and you condition it on the other stone and you go to use it and then you put it back, the probability of you picking it up and using it the same way is different every time. So it spreads the wear out on the stone. Mr. Blodger says, how round is your circle? That's a very personal question, sir. However, I don't care. So, that's very funny. How round is your circle? If you will get it as round as you specify, okay? And if you over specify, I'm charging you for it. We had a question pop in. Oh man, I love you guys. Firmworks asks, 10 years in machining in the UK and I've never seen a PGF stone, a PGF in real life, only through Instagram. Why do we suck here? Listen, I don't think you suck, although I've looked at some of the menus that you guys serve in restaurants and I'm just saying, although I'm willing to learn. You don't suck. What you have to realize is that you live on planet Earth, and planet Earth right now is about the size of 3 city blocks. So I'm happy to ship to you. I'll take care of you. One of the problems with, oh, by the way, PFG, so precision ground flat stones is sort of the generic term, all lowercase, but PFG stones, that's my trademark because they're PFG. So one of the problems with PFG stones is that it's unless you've had them in your hands, unless you've used them, it's a little bit of a leap of faith. Because, hey, it's like $300 and boy, they're kind of expensive, and what if it's terrible? And and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I recognize that. But if it's of any consolation, I've sold hundreds of sets of stones, and the number of customers that have been dissatisfied has been 0. And of course, if anybody was, I would take care of them. So if you really are a machinist where your precision matters, you're not going to be unhappy. I promise you that. So I don't think so. The answer to your question, we're dwelling on this question a little too much, is you do not suck there, sir. You do not suck there. Any place that could produce the doctor does not suck. Okay, moving on. And yeah. So round stones. So every time you pick up a round stone, you tend to pick it up in a different direction. And you don't have to like focus on that. It's just going to happen because there's no orientation to it. So that's something I really like about round stones. And if you're doing a big area with your stones, round stones are really nice for that. Series Motorsport says, don't feel bad. I read a post on Practical Machinist with people here arguing the merits of the stone. Yeah, I am a member of Practical Machinist. In fact, my username on Practical Machinist is the same as my username here. I've been on Practical Machinist a very long time, and you betcha I looked at what was being said on Practical Machinist. Just keep in mind that Practical Machinist is a cross-section of the whole machining community, and a precision ground flat stone is not needed by everybody. I recognize that. If it was, the volume would be so high that the big companies would be making them. The volume's not that high because it's a specialized tool that a subset of quality machinists understand they need. I'm okay with that. And as soon as you say to any machinist, especially somebody on Practical Machinist, that this thing is going to cost you $300, you could just set your watch by the bad comments that are going to be coming. Oh, you don't need that. What a ripoff. I took some stones and I rubbed them on a rock I found in my backyard. I made them perfectly flat. I've been using them that way for 30 years. No problem, sir. Anyway, you got me started, brother. So, yeah. Let's have some more questions. Okay, here's a question. CNC Machinists India asks, I really don't know how to use it. Meaning, I assume the stones. I'm self-taught machinist. Please upload the video with instructions to use it. Do you really think I've been selling these things for all these years and I don't have a video on how to use it? Or maybe you haven't gone looking for it yet, so I'll tell you how to find it. Write this down. PFG.gg. Punch that into your browser, to your address bar, and it will take you to the page, which is the information page on PFG Stones. Toward the bottom, there's a huge link that says, here's our video playlist, and there's the video. The first video you should watch is the first video on that page. Watch that video. How's that? Unfortunately, I have to apologize. You're going to see this in that video. Nothing I can do about it. Tuck Garage, welcome aboard. We're being snarky apparently today. We're discussing Hudson, New Hampshire, and we're discussing the UK, which has a wormhole connecting them. And otherwise, we're just being snarky. We're taking questions from the crowd on this sunny Sunday morning, afternoon. Hey, Tuck Garage, where are you? Just give me a state code. Excellent CNC Machinists, India. Enjoy the videos. If you have any questions, come back next Sunday. We like answering questions. The t-shirt of the day is, could anybody identify that? Tuck is in New York. So I am from New York. I am from what I think is the southernmost part of New York, Brooklyn. Will big roundels be precision balanced? So if you require this to be balanced, it's an extra charge. So yeah, I'll balance them for you. Get the checkbook out. What do you do to keep your shop organized, says Tuck Garage. Tuck Garage, I appreciate the thought that you think, Western New York, welcome. Tuck Garage, you think my shop is organized. But it is kind of organized. One of the things I did, I'm gonna go mobile here. Whoops. There we go. Whoops. So I've got small bins for small stuff. Yes, Weldmonger. Correct answer. You get a Cupid doll. I have these pallet racks because I have unreasonably high ceilings, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. You can't see them. 5, 6. Drawers. What do you call those? Vidmar. They're not all Vidmar, but Vidmar type drawers. Lista and Vidmar are the two I have. And then I label all the drawers, and then I try to keep all the stuff that belongs in the drawers. And mostly it's hardware, tools, small, hand tools, and supplies. So, but none of that is interesting to you because everybody does that, right? So here's something I try to do in the shop is as you're walking through the shop, if there's something sitting there that can be put away, you grab it as you're walking, put it away, and keep walking. In other words, you're always cleaning, always organizing. And I think that I do that pretty well. By no means am I a black belt in that, but I do it pretty well. So I try to keep the place clean. And I think one of the highest priorities in a shop is keeping it clutter-free. I don't mean clutter-free, I mean trash-free. So if you have junk, it should be in a can, in a bag, ready to go out and get it out. Get it out of the shop. So that's the other thing. Another thing that might contribute to organization here, believe it or not, is lighting. So this is a pretty standard residential 3-car garage, except it has ridiculously high ceilings, and there are 4 light fixtures in the ceiling. So 6 light fixtures in the ceiling. 2, 2, and 2. And I have, without changing the fixture, I have stepped up the illumination in here a couple of times. So these guys here are these 8,000, I think it's 8,000 lumen. They're called corn cob lights because they look like a big corn cob. And they're literally about this big, okay? And they have 1 trillion LEDs. And they put out a ridiculous amount of light. And the reason I bring up light with respect to shop organization is that if you can see what's going on, you could see the mess, and it will bother you, and you will clean it up. I think if you keep your shop dark, it tends to lead to a messy shop, just out of sight, out of mind. So I like a well lit shop, and I've done a decent job of it. And then I have task lights I have task lights at each machine. Is that true? Yeah, every single machine has task lights. So you get the shop bright, and then you have task lights on top of that, and it lends to a whole spirit of just keeping everything organized. And then I have some other things I do, which you want to take a walk? Let's take a walk. Let's see. This is not the full shop. There we go. So here we're over at the Haas tool room lathe, and this was an organizing item, right? We have a place to put all the tools, and it's right here, right? So I could reach it. I'm a kind of tall guy, but there it is. And this design is just pretty simple. It's an angle. It's an aluminum angle iron, and those are stainless steel posts. And those posts are just the right size, right, for the tools. This was inspired by the method of measuring a dovetail that uses 2 gauge pins. That's what inspired that. But the reason this was designed this way was I had the stock. I had this aluminum angle sitting on my stock rack for years. I had this stick of I think it's 303 stainless sitting on my stock rack for years. And then one day I woke up with the inspiration, and there it is. So there's all my lathe tools. That's important for organization. Normally, when a guy from New York asks you if you want to take a walk, you would say no. I cannot disagree with that at all. Okay, so so then we have, let's see, can I get, yeah, there we go. Toolboxes, right? Everything's labeled. You figure out for your drawer system, like these little pieces of metal have a certain size, right? So these are all aluminum plates, and I have that size written right there. Okay, so I make sure everything's labeled, and that's another way to do it. So a question came in, did I get this lathe new? And the answer is sort of. This lathe was a demo machine for Trident HFO, and it was at East Tech one year. And I went to East Tech specifically looking to buy a lathe. I had certain requirements. And I looked at lathes, and this was one of them. And I looked at it, checked it out, and I turned to the guy and I said, sold. So this lathe had been displayed at East Tech. Do you call that new? I think I call that new. So the answer is yes. This is a 2009 lathe. All right. Hey, you want to take a walk? We're going over to the pier. So that's organization. Here's some more organization, right? More organization. And then over here, this is a mess because it's supposed to be a mess. Here's more organization. Here's all the, the CNC tools. And then we have this is all CNC support stuff in this rolling rack. And then what do you know? More, and this is all sort of kind of mill support stuff. And notice I'm not showing you the fact that there's a big oven sitting in front of my mill. Here's the mill. I consider this organization as these magnetic paper towel holders. Put it where you need it, right? So this is another thing. This is my tools loaded up in the turret. And I'm using this design that came from Pearson Work Holding, and I modified it. I respun it and 3D printed it. But I have a 16 tool carousel, and this is the 16 tools that are in there. And each one of them has its information. So I could take the tool out, I could put the tag on it, and I could move the tool with tag over to the rack. And so if I need to grab one of these tools and put it in really quick, I could punch in the number which is on the tag, and I am, 90% of the way home. And what else? As far as organization is concerned, overhead bins. So we use, these ceilings are stupid high, so I have hanging overhead racks, and I'm getting stuff up off the floor, and that's another part of it. So I hope that helps answer the question about organization. You could make the argument that it answers the question about lack of organization. Put you back in your spot here. Anyway, yeah, my kids have never seen a car in a garage. That's true. So we've been at this location for going on 12 years. And then before that, I built a shop. So I've had a 3-car garage in one of 2 locations for 21 years. So that's what you're looking at. You're looking at a continuous shop operation for 20 years. And it could be a lot cluttered. Oh, there's one other thing I didn't mention on the topic of shop organization, and that is a little messy under here. I have my sheet metal equipment back here, okay? A shear, a finger brake, a notcher. Notice everything is on these carts, custom made. Each one is custom made for the machine, and they're all on casters. And these casters are McMaster car parts, and I've settled on those as standards. So anytime I have something that needs to get up on wheels, those are the ones I get. And then I weld up a stand for it. It's a little hard to see. The press is also on its own stand. And then when I need it, I clear a path, I drag it out, I use it, and I put it back. And this is all part of the, use the pallet rack and get things shoved under the pallet rack and make room. So the custom stands are part of shop organization. So I hope that helps. I hope that answers some questions. Maybe it raised some questions too. And of course over here in the Department of Grinding department, the one piece of organization that I didn't talk about, sorry, I'm going to go mobile again, is the table that we're sitting on right now, okay, is a Husky toolbox from Home Depot. So this keeps me organized. This is all grinding stuff, and there's the grinder. So this was an important part of organization. Now, the interesting thing is, how usually we want to get bigger and bigger tables and things. And, recently there was a video up about a huge fab table from our friend in Arizona. Always Sunny in the Shop is his YouTube channel. I had a big table here, a big workbench. I got rid of it because it was making it less organized. It was making it harder to work around here. So I downsized to this, and this thing has been fantastic. This gets moved around a lot. That's the Department of Welding, or as I call it, the Department of Welding department. And this is also on wheels. So this can move around. My welding table is on wheels. Everything's on wheels that can be on wheels. So I guess that's the rule. Yeah, small tables keep me from cluttering it. Love Aaron's new table. I'm not sure if I saw Aaron's new table. But yeah, I like the concept of smaller tables, and I think John Saunders of NYC CNC and Saunders Machine Works, a long time ago, he made a video on these small, simple. I think they were 3 by 3 foot work tables on wheels that were at each machine, and that they were easy to move around. And I think that's a really smart idea. You know, the problem with great big tables is you can't move them, and they're nice and big and flat, which means you're going to start piling stuff on them. So yeah, I like that. So I didn't expect to do a mini shop tour, but that gave you a pretty good idea of how I keep things organized. I'm going to have some tea while you come up with another question. Anyway, I appreciate you guys showing up on a Sunday. And we get a lot of work done on Sundays. Anyway. Oh, a little update on bevels. Bevels are this close to being ready to order. Honestly, the only thing holding me up right now is that final. I got one more idea to try to optimize the time. So if you are desperate for a bevel on a stone, drop me a DM. I'll work with you. But we're getting there. Mr. Blodgett says, any tips for storing and organizing short lengths of material? I don't think I'm very good at it. So I have a rack over there for my long lengths, and I use it from the end of the rack. It's one of the wire racks. And then when the material gets short, meaning, you know, one span's worth, I have a aluminum, steel, and plastic milk crate underneath that rack. So when I get little chunks, they go into those boxes. And I know some people have this philosophy where they say, you know, if the round, like if they're using round stock, if it gets below 6 inches, they trash it. I can't tell you how many times I've picked up a piece, you know, that was a couple inches long and used it. So that's what I do. And for the longer stuff, you said it. Series Motorsport read my mind. He said, I keep the cardboard tubes from McMaster for short materials. Yes, my whole rack over there is made out of cardboard tubes from McMaster. So but you say short materials. I use it for, you know, the full length of material that I order from McMaster car. But when it gets really super short, it may go into a underneath into a milk crate. The other thing I do, you know how people code the material by a color code. There's no two metal suppliers that use the same color code, and I don't like that. So what I use is I use a stamp. I use a letter stamp, and I stamp the end of the stock. And what that does is it can't wipe it off. That's one of the problems with color coding. Either you use you spend a lot of time painting, or it's so small that it gets wiped off or cut off. So I use a letter stamp. So when I have stuff on the rack, there's a letter stamp. Now I made up a code. I have a code. So if it's 4140 or 303 stainless or 316 stainless or A201, I have a single letter code, and boink, it gets done on both ends. So if one end gets cut off, it's still marked, and if I'm smart, I remember to remark it on the cutoff end. Stefan Gottsvinter said that, you know, unmarked material is useless, and I agree with him. So you have to know what the material is, unless you're making some little junky thing for the shop. So I think I answered that question. And don't be afraid to throw some stuff out. I do scrap some stuff. Probably not as much as I should. We have a great dump. My town has a fantastic dump. So I had a bunch of chips. So when I generate a lot of aluminum chips, I bag them up and I take them over to a friend of mine who has a commercial shop in the next town. And he's a great guy. I've had him make parts for me over the years. So it goes into his bin, and those guys get the coffee money, and that makes me very happy. If I have a small amount of chips, I called my guy at our local dump. Materials Recycling Center. And he says, and there's a whole section for steel, and there's a section for aluminum. And I said, what do I do with aluminum chips? He said, just put it right in there. I said, well, I have it in a bag. I'll just leave the bag. He says, no, just dump it right on the floor. So that's what I did. So that makes its way into aluminum recycling. Not bad. So if I don't have enough to justify storing it or taking it over to my buddy, I'll just dump it in the recycling bin. Tuck Garage asks, do you keep a printed legend near the stock rack? Yes, although I want to improve the printed legend, make it, laminate it, make it a little nicer. But yeah, I have a legend. I actually have you'd call it a Google Doc. I think it's not in Google Docs. It's in my local server here. But I have that form. And yes, that's the right thing to do, is have a nice laminated printed legend. Mine isn't laminated yet, so it's a little messy. But like O is for O1. 2, the digit 2 is for A2. 4, the digit 4 is for 4140. That kind of thing. It's pretty logical. So I hope that helps. The worst thing you could do is start heat treating something and find out it was not the steel you thought it was. That's never happened here. So does that help? I don't know if that shows you, how brilliantly organized I am, or it highlights how unorganized I am. So while I'm waiting for another brilliant question, I will also tell you that put your flammables in a flammables cabinet. I do have a flammables cabinet. You might have seen it while we were sweeping around over there. Practice safety. I've got a fire extinguisher over there. I've got a fire extinguisher over there. I've got a flammables cabinet. These are not hard things to do. You should do them. Oh, thank you, Mr. Blodgett. In fact, I sent you a picture of the 4140 sitting on my stock rack. So let's get back to the idea of the lap. I've been doing some reading, and there's a couple of different flavors of laps. There's soft laps, which are designed to have diamond pressed into it, or at least capture the diamond. And they're semi-sacrificial. And then there's hard laps where the lap itself is the cutting tool. And I think that's what you talked about, the old timers using a form of a file. And I'm sort of coming up with something that might be either a cross between the two, but essentially a circular file. And I think I know how to make it. And it would end up being hardened. So the 4140, I looked it up. We can get that up to Rockwell 60, which is pretty good if we want it hard, if it's going to be a cutting material, especially for brass. It's plenty hard. I usually like to heat treat A2. A2 will go to Rockwell 63. For your purposes, I don't think it's a huge difference. And then what I'm thinking is I could get some brass tubing. I have brass tubing. In fact, I have brass tubing, and I could test it on brass tubing, which I assume is going to have the same similar alloy to what the instruments are. If you know how to describe the alloy that instruments are usually made out of, I would be interested to hear that. So there you go. All right, it's 1:50. We've got 10 minutes left before the top of the hour. If you got a question, shoot it in comments or put it in the question box, and let's hit it. And then when we wrap this sucker up, I'm going to go over and start setting up for grinding today. So yes, weldingtipsandtricks.com is where I got my T-shirt. I'm a big fan of Jody and the gang, and I also took training with Roy Crumrine, of Crummy Welding, who's absolutely magnificent. Bart asks, how many hours do you work in the shop every week, and do you wish more or less? It's funny because sometimes the work doesn't feel like work. So as you know, I keep it no secret that my main gig is as a engineering consultant. So that's my main thing. So that's my majority of my hours. How many hours do I spend in the shop? I might in a week spend, in a heavy week, I'd spend maybe 20 hours. Maybe 15 hours is a more typical productive week. And there have been weeks where I've spent 3 hours. Do I wish it was more or less? I'd be perfectly happy doing more. And it really depends on how much engineering work I have. I love shop work. It's fun. And if it's not fun, you see the gray hair? See it? If it's not fun, I am seeking to not do it anymore. Hope I answered your question, Bart. That's about right. Flood City Tooling asks, I would like to learn more about lapping. Me too. Any place to start learning? I bought a book. I bought an ebook, which was highly technical on lapping. And I kind of wish I got that $45 back. I think you start and you use YouTube resources. There are some good textbooks, which I don't think you should spend any money on. I think they're all online. But it's a very rich topic, and there are others that are way smarter about lapping than I am. Extra Minty Matt, who sometimes shows up here. He does optical lapping, and he's awesome. So he's a good guy to talk about lapping specifically. Robin Renzetti probably knows more about lapping than I could probably know if I just went to town on it. But one day I bought a 5-pound container of aluminum oxide, 5 micron aluminum oxide, for kind of a weird project. Of course, I needed about this much. So I've made my own lapping compound with 5 micron aluminum oxide and oil. And then you start messing around, and it's pretty instructive. Once you get a feel for it and you start talking about precision, then you go find the old hands and you ask them. And unfortunately, I am not an old hand. What's your favorite machine? What's next? Well, I don't want to say it too loud because the mill might hear it. But my grinder is still my favorite machine. It's still doing magic. So right at the moment, I love the grinder. Love the grinder. I'm having a lot of fun. And I think my level of interest in a machine is proportional to how much I'm learning. And that the grinder is continuing to teach me, There are no machines I have in the shop that I hate. I think I have this 1-inch import belt grinder that I sort of hate. But really, I like all the machines. What's next, you ask? I am not sure what's next as far as machines. I'm running out of room for big machines. So I'm busy, not busy. I'm contemplating buying a commercial space for the shop. Tough decision. That's a hard decision. What's next? I'll tell you what's next. I have a what's next. I really would like to build or acquire a monochromatic light source. I've been poking at that for a while. I know that Laney Machine Work, Laney Tech has made one. I've got to find out more about it. John Grimsmo copied his design successfully. I might do that, or I might go in another direction. I've done research on it over the years. I have some interesting ideas about it. So I'd like to get a monochromatic light source and start doing some fringe pattern observations on my grinding. So that's sort of in the next list. So there you go. My grinder is still my favorite machine. Bart says, I need more gray hair. I'm working on that. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. It ain't free, but it's worth it. Oh, thank you, Mr. Blodgett. If you have a link to his parts list, I mean, I can go dig for it. I could probably find it. But if you have an easy way to send that to me, I sure would appreciate it. Also, if you look at Edmund Scientific, which has been around since the dawn of time, they sell a monochromatic light source that looks exactly like his converted light box. They're pretty proud of it. And I was this close to just buying one of those just to get it done. Yeah, Flood City Tooling says, I think it all goes hand in hand, the lapping and light source. I'm right here with you. Yeah, I think you're right. I think hand lapping. I'm not saying machine lapping because that's a whole different ballgame. But hand lapping, observations of fringing patterns. I'm behind on that. I feel like I'm behind. I gotta catch up. Bart's working on a monochromatic light source at the moment. Excellent. I look forward to seeing your stuff. And there's a link. You're awesome, dude. Thank you. I better grab that right now. Yeah, send it to me separately because the chat goes away. Just DM me. But I see it's a PDF. It's exactly what I need. So that's probably one of the next projects is to work on that. Hey, I have a rant I could share with you. Oh, man. Nah, I'll leave that for next week. All right, last questions, because we're coming up to the top of the hour. All right. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you. And we missed some people today that are sort of regulars. I hope I didn't confuse everybody with last week's time change, but I put it back to the normal time, and I think we're going to keep it here as much as we can. I was invited to be on the Amateur Redneck Workshop this week. I can't do it this afternoon, so I will not be on, but those guys are great. It was a lot of fun. And that's it. So, from New Hampshire, the deep south of New Hampshire, I hope everybody has a great day. Thank you very much for showing up and asking great questions. It was a lot of fun. Thank you for your orders for PFG Stones. I appreciate it. More information at pfg.gg because they're pretty fine and good. All right, guys. Have an awesome Sunday. We'll see you next week. I got to get to work.